Hi, boys and girls. Happy Friday. As we work on these area and perimeter word problems, I wanted to go over a couple of them with you because they're a little bit different than what we've done before. We actually have some missing either factors or missing add-ins in our problem. Some of these problems give us the total already, so we have to figure out what the missing or the unknown factor or add-in is. So let's do a couple of them together, and then you will be able to do the rest of them on your own. So as I'm teaching you, I want you to be working in your Class Kick assignment as well, okay? So let's look at the first one together. It says, my dad is making a sandbox. The sandbox has a perimeter. So I'm going to take my highlighter, and I know that I'm looking for a perimeter of 100 inches. Okay, so that is my total. The width of the sandbox is 20 inches. So now we have to figure out the length. So we know that probably a sandbox, because we've been working on squares and rectangles, right? So I'm going to draw my rectangle, and I know that my total is 100, right? But it's got 4 sides here. So then I know my width is 20, right? So if this side is 20, then this side has to be 20. Everybody with me so far? So now we add these two up together and we actually have 40, right? So we have 20 plus 20, and now we've got two unknown factors here that we have to figure out for these sides. So let's go figure out first what we have already used. So I'm going to take my 100 and I'm going to subtract the 40 that I have already used, and I'm left with 60. Now I have 60 that I have to use between two sides. So remember, we take our 60 and we cut it in half. So half of 60 would actually be 30. So 30 is going to go on this side, and 30 is going to go on this side. So let me add these in, and let's make sure that this adds up to 100. So 20 plus 20 is 40. 40 plus 30 is 70, and 70 plus 30 is 100. So when it says, what is the length of the sandbox, then we know that our missing factors here are 30. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to the next one. My teacher added new border to our bulletin board. If the bulletin board has a perimeter of 250, so we're given the total here, and a length of 85 inches, what is the width of the bulletin board? So again, let's draw our triangle, or not our triangle, sorry, our rectangle. We know that one of the sides is 85, and therefore the other side is going to be 85. So these two sides right here are the ones that we're looking for. Well, I know my total is 250, so I'm going to go ahead and write that over here for my total. And I'm going to write my 85 plus my 85. And I know I have to have 4 add-ins, right? Because those are my missing numbers here. And there's 4 sides in a rectangle. So now I'm going to come up here, I'm going to add my 85 and my 85 together to figure out how many I've already used out of my 250. So we know 5 plus 5 is 10, so we put our 0 and carry our 1, and then that equals 17. So out of 250 inches, we've already used 170 inches. So I'm going to take my 250 and I'm going to subtract my 170. Now you may use this on a whiteboard if you need to, because these are kind of small spaces for us to work in. So we're going to have 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 7, or 5 take away 7, we can't do. So we're going to come over here and regroup. We're going to take 100 And then we're going to add that 100 over here to make 15 tens. And 15 minus 10 is 80. So now remember, I'm left with 80 between both sides. So we actually have to cut it in half. And half of 80 would be, can you guess? 40. So this side would be 40, and this side would be 40. So these right here were our width. So this is going to be 40, and this one's going to be 40. And I'm going to double check to make sure that that adds up right. I know 185 and 85 is 170, because I already figured that out over here. 170 and 40 would be 210, and then 210 and 40 would be 250. All right, guys, so your job is to continue on. If you'll notice, you see perimeter. What is the perimeter? And if you go to the next slide, this one is actually asking for your area. It is given your area. So it looks a little bit different when we have a square piece of paper that I need to paint. So remember, we have a square, and I know that my area is 64. So it's going to equal 64. Well, I know that when a square, it has 4 equal sides, right? So this times this has to equal 64. So you have to think, what two numbers together equal 64? And I think it's going to be 8. So I'm going to have 8 as my length and 8 as my width, and that's how I would get 64. Okay? So good luck to you guys. I can't wait to see your work. I know you're going to do awesome.